Dear ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to my speech at the World Congress of Lumen Association. I'm really happy to be invited here, although it's this online version of a presentation. I want to thank all organization team of Lumen for doing great job of organizing continuously conferences for past 20 years. I prepared for you a presentation. It's a bit different presentation that it was announced because it fits more the scope of the conference. It's about cooperation of business and the social work. And I will share my screen with the presentation. Okay, so welcome again. My name is Lukáš Válek, and I'm coming from Prague University of Economics and Business, which is the lead business school in Czech Republic, and at the Faculty of Business Administration and Department of Entrepreneurship, I'm assistant professor, and since past 2 years there is a new subject taught, a course for students, and it's called Social Entrepreneurship, or Social Entrepreneurship and Innovation and Impact. And most of you probably heard about this term, social entrepreneurship. It's been used in many cases, in many contexts. I would just like to, in this presentation, summarize a bit this terminology to be on the same level of theory, and just make a short notion how does it work in Czech Republic, and then I will move to the very interesting, we can say, like cooperation between business students and students of social work. It was a kind of experiment we done in this semester. So, as I said, there are various ways how to understand this term. Like if we go to the most broad definition, according to Muhammad Yunus, who won the Nobel Prize, the social entrepreneurship is every civic activity or any civic activity when a person takes initiative to solve a social problem. So in this sense, social enterprise could be also a non-profit organization. It's like, you know, you have entrepreneurial spirit and you want to solve something. But then there is another term which is called social business, which is actually a company, or it's a social enterprise which aims to earn money. So social business is different from the ordinary company, ordinary business for business company by basically 3+1 points. So there is a social issue it solves by its operation, by its existence. So it exists, its mission is to solve a social problem. If it achieves profit, it should be reinvested back to the company to develop, to pay people, etc. And social businesses should be environmentally responsible. And that half what I said, this all ensures sustainable solution of that social problem. So, for example, if you imagine NGO which is funded by government, by foundations, the money can run dry, the funding. and then all the work or the good work they done could be lost. So social enterprise should be a sustainable way how to fund its operation and solving the social problem for the future. Just really short thing, what I said, like a graphical representation, not very beautiful, but the fact is that if you compare it, you see that ordinary business, okay, when you have costs and revenue, and what left remains is profit. It could be shared to owners, shareholders. It also helps to calculate financial indicators. So higher the indicator, more financially healthy the company is considered to be, and more people want to invest in it. NGO should balance these two, and the social enterprise actually can achieve a profit, but it should reinvest it all back and pay developed company not to really hold any profit. So another term I want to share with you is our so-called institutional voids. These are empty spaces which are left alone by basically everyone in the society. Social enterprises very often use this because these are the empty spaces, these are the social problems. They should be solved. So you can have a situation then social problem that it's not profitable enough for companies to engage in it as a business. It could be quite complicated or risky for NGOs to go in it. Government might not care about that specific problem. And so for social enterprise, this is an opportunity because there's no competition in it. So probably social enterprise will be alone on the market. There's no guarantee of big revenue or profit, but with the smart thinking, they could earn money enough to solve the problem and to pay their employees and to make a difference. So it's kind of a business niche, no one really, which is too risky. You can imagine. I have an example from India. There was it's about the foundation of private ambulance service. So you can imagine that if you call ambulance and you know that it will probably never arrive, you will be willing to pay for private ambulance service. So in essence, the private ambulance service fills this institutional void where the government don't care for business. It's not profitable enough to have a whole fleet of ambulances to carry people around. But it's a very necessary and very useful thing. Another term is like a neoliberal understanding of social services, which is we are coming more to the side of the social work here, or social services, which is more like thing of USA, United States of America, or the places where you actually are less social governmental, like they are not so social states. And the fact is that social enterprise in that vision is the best social service because it doesn't require funding from a foundation, or doesn't have to collect money as a charity. Or if you imagine, like, the best charity in this sense is the charity which can earn money to run itself, which of course again poses a problem in, you know, this never-ending conflict in social enterprises between social purpose and earning money. So it can happen that you have a social service helping disabled, for example, and because it should be also business, over time it becomes just a business, not really as much as a social service. So the situation about legal situation differs from the country to country, and there are some, at most often social enterprises are somehow afloat between NGO and the business sector. Sometimes there is a legal structure, sometimes there is not. In Czech Republic there is not, so I can bring you this example. For example, in UK there is a legal supportive, or there is a legal forum for social enterprise since 2005 already. We still don't have it, so it really depends about necessity. The law of social enterprises could be also, in paradox, could be a bit harmful for social enterprises, because if it defines something they should be, it can limit what they can do, as it happened also, or as it happens. So what I want to say, it's the situation in the Czech Republic. So we don't have law, and it's fragmented, and we can pick the pieces about there or there, because basically it's somewhere between. So you can choose a legal form. I just listed legal forms of NGOs we have, and some of business forms. So there are like I think 3 or 4 more business legal forms. But the point is that either you have a NGO, which adds a business activity, or it's a business, a legal form like a limited liability company, and it adds a social purpose. So then you can call yourself kind of freely a social enterprise. Yeah, and this is what I had. Maybe I will just finish here. One more thing. So actually, most common social enterprises in Czech Republic are so-called integrational social enterprises, which integrate the, which employ some disadvantaged groups of population. And this is because there is a support of the government. So you can have a normal business company, you employ some disabled people, and you can call yourself a social enterprise, even though you don't comply with all the other rules social business should comply with. So this is a bit strange situation, and this is also because of the lack of the law. So now I will come to what we have done at our university. So since 2019, we have a course for bachelor level students, and it's in Czech language. Students are mostly Czechs, or those who can speak Czech. And it's about the basics. So students basically are encouraged to think big, think out of the box, try to find some social problem, solve it, and make like a business plan for a social enterprise, which they present at the end. We try to invite all the time, always some kind of some person from impact venture organization. So organization who funds, who invests in social enterprises. So here it's more about the feeling of the students that they can get, and they get actually real life feedback from a business person who invests in the organization. In theory, they can get funding, but on this level, they are not. Their business plans so far were not in this on such a level. Another course we started just this year in spring 2021. It was accredited in autumn last year, and it's elective, so it's for students of any field. In our school, it would be the fields are related to business. So different kinds of business fields, and then they can join whatever, like they are Czechs, they are full-time international students, they are Erasmus students. It's a mix of countries, and it's taught in English. Instead of a test in this course, we decided to use a case study. So we thought that basically, because students are there from their own interest, they are following the whole course whole year, it's kind of useless, pointless to test them by a classical test. Instead, we wanted to give them some real life hands-on experience. So we gave them a real life case study. I will get to it on next slides. And their task is again to develop a business plan for a social enterprise. They have a presentation to the investor as well, like a bachelor's, but this time it's not like a dreamy project. It should be like really realistic, and they are aiming for getting money. So they could really get funded by the impact venture investor and start their business. And also, content of the course is more elaborate. It goes more deep, more in depth. It's more practical. And both courses actually are using quite a lot of non-formal learning approaches, like experiential learning. Unfortunately, these 2 past years, we couldn't implement other than online methods, but we hope to get to face-to-face very soon. So, to provide case studies, what we've done is that we paired with Yerevan State University from Armenia. And there's students on the same level. They are master students on the master level. So they are already experienced and they are already working in the field, and they work with the target groups about which they provided the case studies. Armenia we chose because of our previous cooperation, or my cooperation with them, and also because they are unfortunately the country is undergoing very numerous social problems, and these students are really in direct contact with them. So we thought for our students who tend to have a bit detached point of view of a business, this would be a perfect opportunity. So our students, they were working on their business plans in 4 groups. So this was their semester project, and so they had 4 business plans to present to the investors. So we used these 4 groups and gave each group another task to work on the case study. So students of Yerevan State University, they created 4, they developed, let's say, they came with the idea of main 4 social problems, and they created groups around them and created case studies, and they presented them online to our students. And our students, they had 2 weeks to come with some solution for them and to present them back in 2 weeks. Important thing to say is that this exchange happened in the middle of semester. So we wanted our students to know already what, to have a theoretical background, to be able to provide some kind of solutions. And Our students also used contacts for Armenian students to clarify what was not clear. And then they prepared their presentations for Armenian students, but also a paper for their, you know, to get more information to them, etc. In the end, the whole exchange was quite interesting. It was, we would say, success. Our students were very surprised by the, you know, problems, like how deep the information went. And Armenian students, they were interested actually in the other solutions that they knew before, because most of the solutions used nowadays in the context of that social problems they presented is coming from NGO sphere. So it's not like nothing that would earn money. There's not this concept that while solving a social problem, it can actually earn enough money to solve itself. So, or to help solve itself. As for cases which were presented by Armenian students to our students, they were actually quite related to migration, because this is from different points of view the most prominent problem. First one were refugees of Armenian nationality from Nagorno-Karabakh, which settled in one of the smaller towns. They are basically IDPs in this sense, internally displaced people. Then the second case was also related to migration, but was very specific. They are Syrian Armenians and refugees from Syria, from war in Syria, who are coming. So already since the war in Syria started, and they have problems with employment and culture, and especially language differences, unlike IDPs. Number three was very similar to number one, but it was like a nationwide problem. It was specified as a problem on a whole nation scale. Unlike the number one was like, really, we have one small town and there are refugees, what we are going to do with them. And number four was about the war, just recent war in Nagorno-Karabakh, when there is a situation with the families of males, they died in the battle, they died in the war, and then wife and the children try to cope with it. So these were the four problems. And the solutions proposed, for the first one, in Matuni, there was the idea of common housing and enterprise. So in the town, people can live at one place, and they can do open some business. The idea was restaurant, because this is the easiest thing, and the Matuni is kind of touristic town. So that was one. Second one, for Syrian refugees. The idea was about Little Aleppo, which is, I mean, the name is already used for a restaurant, but it was based on the idea in Prague, which is called Little Hanoi, and it's a town in a town. Let's say it's like an area which is owned by Vietnamese community, and there are culture places, restaurants, shops, ethnic shops. It's a place to meet, to buy your stuff, so to get to make a space of your own in another country. Number three was quite a nice business idea. Quite a nice business idea that IDPs who cannot find a job and they have skills from previous, like, I mean, they are professionals in their field, but cannot find a job. So there will be a company, a social enterprise, which would offer their services as outsourcing for business partners. And at the same time, it would work like a hub or a co-working space, which would provide also daycare for children and a possible re-qualification for those professions which would be more needed on the market, and especially by the business partners of the business and social enterprise. And the last one, the idea of some kind of like community center for the families who lost their family member, mostly the male member, and they can band together, they can support each other, they can take care of each other's children, but at the same time they can have workshops producing some goods that they can sell. The idea was at first by e-shops, and they would offer them also in retail. Just to illustrate two of the proposals, I took it from presentations of our students. So they also created this business model canvas about this solution. This is about the Matuni. So who are the key partners? What are their costs? What are the revenue streams? Their relationships, channels, business channels, the proposition of the value, the segments of customers, who are going to be their customers. Next one is this Little Aleppo, so same logic, and we can see how they plan to monetize, how they plan to make money out of that social situation. So just to wrap up, as I'm coming from, I'm basically, my background is in economics, and then I spent a lot of time working in non-profit sphere. Then I taught at the Institute of Social Work at the University of Hradec Králové and in other place. Now I'm teaching social entrepreneurship at the business school. I can say that one very important thing is a cross-field cooperation between the business and the social sphere, let's say. What I noticed is that social workers, they frown upon the businesses, that business are like capitalists and bad guys, and business people often view NGOs as you know, just the leeches who are sucking money from the government. But money are needed to solve social problems, and they can come also from the social problems. And social workers, especially, they are in there, they know them. And it's quite, I would even say stupid, it's reckless, if you want to start a social enterprise, not to ask people who know about it. And on the from the other side, that fact that we have a social problem does not mean actually that we cannot, that it's somehow not ethical or impolite to take advantage of some business opportunities to help the target group, because it makes it in long run sustainable, and we can continue to solve that problem, to help people, and don't have to rely so much on grants or funding from outside. And just one last notion, which I didn't thought about before we had this experiment, but was really very, very interesting. Again, this like confluence, or this like contact of spheres of business and social, that in social work, social workers are usually used to build their case studies as a casuistry. So it's like more focused on a human being, on person, like, you know, that it's more storytelling. And business students, They are more used to a structured description of a problem, using more technical terms as is like target group or you know. So when social worker would say that as a refugee I feel bad because I cannot find a work, a business person would say, yeah, that's okay, so our target group are refugees, they cannot find a work, so it's structured that it comes. And it was very interesting to see this happening, that Armenian students were presenting case studies as casuistries. So our business students took some time to get their heads around what is actually happening, why they are telling a story of a person or a story of a group of people. But in the essence, for them, it's the best thing which could happen, because if you are funding a social enterprise and you personally are not member of the target group, if you are, you understand it's your problem. But if it's not and you do it for someone else, you cannot really expect the target group, the people you are helping, to come with you and give you structured, you know, their problem in a structured way, like described and what they want. They will just tell you how they feel and what's happening, and then this is your like task. This is how you receive your information to get the task. So this was very interesting, and I think in the end it worked really good, because what Armenian students got back, they got the structured information, like you see in the business model canvas. So they got it in the structure, and for them was also something new. It's not the story, it's like, okay, we do this and do that and do it like this. So as a follow-up, we continue to cooperate, and we starting a project, or we put together a proposal for international project, because it came up that we need this kind of case studies for education on a practical level. And that's it for me for now. I would ask you for any questions, but because this is pre-recorded for YouTube, I think we would have to wait for my live presentation at Lumen conference. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to virtually meet you well, during the plenary sessions. Okay, goodbye.